Welcome to the Ghanaian Farmer TV show on Joy Prime. My name is Enyonam. This program is proudly brought to you by Lizzie Tomato Mix. If you're in the market shopping for the home, remember to get Lizzie. It gives your meal a great taste and make it delicious. Today, our focus is on cassava farming. However, we'll be touching or delving into the varieties of cassava. I'm told we have a lot, over 20 varieties, but we are standing in a 1-acre cassava farm here, somewhere around Kaswa, that has about just 5 of it. And the farmer, Thomas and Sire, will tell us more about this cassava, what goes into planting it, what you can do with it, how to get the planting materials, some of the challenges that come with growing these varieties. Is it as the normal cassava we grow? For me, I thought cassava is cassava, but today I have learned something new. So let's go for a quick breather. When we come back, Mr. Thomas Answer, let me just call him Thomas. He will tell us more about his farm. Make sure to get interactive on the program on our social media platform, The Ghanaian Farmer, and also go on YouTube and subscribe to our channel, The Ghanaian Farmer. There's a lot of episodes to watch over there. I'm going for a quick breather. I'll be right back. Thanks for staying with me. If you just tune in, you're watching The Ghanaian Farmer on Joy Prime. Mr. Answer, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And well done for, venturing into agriculture. A lot of people are not really interested,
Yes.
but well done. I'm so much happy to see someone like you, making time to also venture into agriculture. Well done. Now, I thought cassava is cassava. Until today, you were telling me we have even more than 20 varieties of cassava. But here, you have about 5 of them. Now, tell me about these 5.
The 5 varieties are Cape Vas, Dwadekpakpa, Ampong, CSIR Ampong,
Right.
Amansang,
Right.
and Banchihima. So the 5 varieties. And they all have unique features.
Okay.
Unique features in that when they sprout, after a short while, they produce a canopy. And that canopy prevents sunlight from penetrating
Into the soil.
in the surface.
The surface of the
And
soil.
thereby reducing labor in terms of farm maintenance.
Okay.
Yes. So they all produce a canopy. They all give high yields. They all have the matter content. The cassava is made of water and matter. The matter contents are high so that you get more produce or products from cassava. Yes.
Okay.
And they all they mature within maximum 12 months.
Then they are all mature.
They are all mature.
All the
and
5
ready.
varieties.
All the 5
Great.
varieties.
Now, with this 1-acre farm you have,
Yes.
okay, how do you come by the planting material?
Right. The planting material, with the assistance of the district's agric office, we collaborated with them, and they gave us some of the varieties. Now, we also had one variety prior to engaging with the assembly. We had Banchihima, but the district agric office has helped us acquire the Ampong, the Amansang, the Dwadekpakpa, and the CSIR. Cape Vas, the Cape Vas bunch. Yes, so that is how it is worked. Yes. And the objective is to be able to multiply the planting material to enable other farmers also gain access to their respective planting materials. There is a major challenge with planting material, and so this is an initiative between ourselves, the Innovations Village, and the District Assembly to multiply planting material for circulation within the District Assembly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great one. Quickly, how many pieces of the planting material do I need, assuming I'm going to plow a 1-acre land?
You need 4,000 pieces of planting material.
Okay.
Now the planting material may be about 16 inches Yes. So you need 4,000 pieces of those planting material.
Are we able to tell how much in cedis we are talking about for the benefit of
yes.
anyone who would want to go into this?
It would cost you about 800 cedis to get the planting material for an acre. Yes. A bundle is sold at about between 15 and 20 cedis, but to be on the safe side, let's say 20 cedis. So you get 20 bundles for your farm.
Okay.
Yes.
These varieties you mentioned,
Yes.
do they organically grow well on its own without input, or you have to support the soil with some form of input to make it grow well?
Right. With regards to these varieties, we have not used any inputs. And the little knowledge I have suggests that no one uses inputs.
Okay.
The inputs are the labor and the maintenance.
Okay.
But there is no application of any chemical or anything to kill or to enhance the
growth
development of the tuber.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Now, the soil here, I see a bit of gravels and I
Yes.
see a bit of sand.
Yes.
Tell me what form of soil texture
Yes.
do these varieties of, planting material you mentioned, do well?
Well, for these planting material, the loamy soil, loose loamy soil is what is best.
Okay.
Yes. At least the soil should have some material on the surface to retain moisture because cassava is a tuber that spreads. It doesn't go too deep.
Right.
So the loamy soil is the most ideal
Okay.
for the varieties. The little rocks on top are just on the surface.
Okay.
They don't
It
disturb.
doesn't disturb anything.
It doesn't disturb anything.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, let's touch on what you make from the crop when it's harvested. I know of my fufu and my banku, which is the more, and my gari.
Yes.
What else are you able to make from these varieties you mentioned?
Potentially, you can get starch.
Okay.
Starch is used in the industries,
Okay.
especially in the pharmaceutical companies, and then starch spray for textiles. So there is a lot to be made from it. Apart from the consumption ones, there is also feed for animals. So you can have cassava chippings,
Okay.
and then you can have cassava flour, which can be used for
So I guess there
other
are
things.
many things.
There are other things that you can use
Okay.
them for, yes.
Let's also touch on what happens with regards to pest infestation. Is there anything, any disease or anything that affects cassava farming or these varieties that you're growing here?
Yeah, fortunately, these varieties, the main problem with cassava is the cassava mosaic disease. Fortunately, these varieties have been developed such that they have a resistance to the cassava mosaic disease. So if you ask me about the disease, I'll say there is no disease.
Okay.
At least I have not seen any disease yet. So there is no disease. It's resistant to the cassava mosaic.
Great. Are all the varieties consumables?
All of them are consumable. I think it's the ampong that after a certain period, it becomes more of an industrial. So for the first 8 months, you can consume it for
Beyond
your fufu and beyond that, I think the fibers become very thick in it.
Okay.
So it's more
not
for
advisable.
yes, it's more
Okay.
for an industrial
Okay.
purposes so that you can use it for starch and other things.
If I invested into a 1 acre cassava farm,
Yes.
how many times am I likely to harvest before the tree or the plant doesn't produce any fruit anymore?
Well, the cassava plant is such that you harvest and that is it.
Once.
Unless you replant the planting material.
So harvesting it is just once
Once.
after 12 months.
Yes, after 12 months. But immediately after harvesting, you can replant.
Immediately. You don't
Immediately.
give the soil some form of
Well,
rest.
you don't really need to.
Okay.
What you can do then is after the second planting, then you can move somewhere else and plant
Okay.
so that the land can regain. But cassava can be planted immediately. But you plant it once.
Okay.
You harvest and then you you plant again.
Let's talk about the weather pattern. A lot of farmers, I mean, the ones I visited,
Yeah.
most of them don't have irrigation.
Yes.
It's just a handful that have irrigation. What kind of weather is more of conducive for cassava?
Well, cassava, the good thing about cassava, I've forgotten, I think they call it the food security crop.
Okay.
Cassava does well in virtually every climatic condition. We have cassava in the north where there's only one rainy season. We have cassava in Burkina Faso, which is even drier. So the weather conditions, cassava does well everywhere. But if you say the ideal conditions, then I would say where we have the two rainfall pattern. We have the same pattern here, but it's not as heavy as you would have it in the forest areas. So ideally, in the areas in the eastern region from Suhum and Sawam Suhum, going towards Brongahaf, they have the most ideal weather conditions. Yeah.
Okay. Labor. Let's talk about labor.
Yeah.
From what I understand, you do something else. So you visit us and when.
Yeah.
How do you come by laborers who work on the farm for you? Are you able to do it alone?
No, no. What happens is we have some communities close to the farm. We engage people from the communities. Now, for the labor, I would say there are two forms of labor. There's one that's a little technical, and then there's one that is more manual.
Okay.
So the technical labor is more like the tractor operator, the one who plows. Now, to a large extent, we have depended on the assembly to assist us to get people who are tractor operators to come and plow for us. The assembly has trained a number of operators in the surrounding communities within the district. So we engage them and we get tractor operators. But with regard to the manual labor, which includes weeding and planting, there are people around.
That you often engage to come and work for you.
To assist us.
So viewers, you're still watching the Ghanaian Farmer. My name is Enyonam Manye. My father says, I don't like it when you don't mention the man. Hey, Enyonam Manye. And standing next to me is Mr. Thomas Ansre, and he's telling us more about the varieties of cassava we have in the country. But he has limited himself to 5 varieties there.
Amansang,
Ampong,
Cape Vas Banchi, Badekpakpa, and Banchi Hima.
Okay, on that note, let's go for 60 seconds. We'll be back to wrap up the interview here with Mr. Ansre, and then a MOFA officer will be joining me to talk a bit about the technicalities and especially why there's a difficulty with regards to planting materials. They will answer that question. So I'm going for a quick bit. I'll be right back. Thanks for staying. Gone by was 60 seconds on a Greek that highlights on the trending issues happening within the agricultural sector. You're still watching the Ghanaian Farmer, proudly brought to you by Lizzie Tomato Mix, and our initiative, Support the Farmer Initiative, where we go to farms and give farmers a few of farming tools like the cutlass, the hoe, wheelbarrow, Wellington boot, and all that. So if you're out there, you want to support any farmer with anything, just let us know. The number on the screen, you can call that number and we'll gladly pass by to pick up that item. But we are still here and talking about the varieties, the 5 varieties of cassava that we are seeing right here behind us. So there is one major concern for Ghanaian farmers.
Yes.
Because you are into different activities, and this is an addition to what you do. I don't know how you go about funding for the yearly planting season, but that is a major concern. How do you come by funding?
I depend on my own resources. Initially, yes, I used to work for the government as a public servant, and so I was able to raise some money. Now, there are no, okay, I did not bother going out to look for funding because I hear it's a problem. So with regard to funding, I've had to use my own resources to acquire the planting material to maintain the farm.
For how many years have you been doing this, relying on your own resources?
We started active farming 2013, so that's 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yes.
And you've been doing this all alone?
Yes.
Now, luckily you have been a public servant, and now you are doing this.
Yes.
Do you think government has done enough with regards to creating some pool of funds for farmers to source from?
Government has done certain things. They've initiated certain things, but I think the bulk of the money is with the financial institutions. Now, farming is expensive. It's not cheap. But the conditionalities of the financial institutions often makes it difficult.
Impossible for a farmer to apply.
To access funds. Government initiatives, they're good. They subsidize fertilizer, they subsidize agrochemicals. And I know there have been some initiatives on tractor services, subsidizing tractors and all that. But I think more can be done.
More can be done.
More can be done.
Okay.
Access to the credit facility.
Right.
But let's not forget that there is the other side where the financial institutions have also had their fingers burnt by people who have taken facilities.
And haven't repaid.
Okay. So the onus is not only on government, but it's on we, the farmers as well, to be honest, do our work properly and pay back.
Okay.
So that others can also access the funds, because the funds are not for the bank.
Okay.
They're for somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, quickly, are you able to tell me each of the varieties you mentioned?
Yes.
And then the answer means they are plenty. If I should uproot this one, how many tubers will I find beneath? Are you able to tell?
You get an average of 4 or 5 tubers.
Under each plant?
Under each plant, ideally 4 or 5 tubers under each plant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So roughly, if I should start uprooting right now, how many sacks am I going to carry away from this farm?
Let's put it this way. Harvest is linked to hectares.
Okay.
And so we will say that how many tons will you get from a hectare if it is Bradekpakpa? Yes. Yes. So if we put it that way, then we are looking at about 50 tons.
Okay.
Yes. From 1 acre.
Right.
From Bradekpakpa.
Mr. Answer, I have a lot of questions for you, but my director is giving me, your time is up, your time is up. We are wrapping up the interview, okay?
Yes.
But finally, what do you have to tell an individual, maybe a public servant, somebody out there, an investor who is, researching and reading around, investing into agriculture, but it's not social? What do you have to say? Your experience, your success stories, the challenges, briefly.
If someone is interested in farming, I think I'll encourage the person to go into farming.
Okay.
For me, I think the ideal crop is cassava.
Okay.
Cassava is emerging as a major industrial crop.
Right.
And there's an increasing demand for cassava.
Okay.
Secondly, cassava, as I indicated, is a food security crop. It does well everywhere.
Okay.
You don't need fertilizers, you don't need anything. So I'll encourage anyone interested in farming to go into cassava farming.
Okay.
There are issues with land acquisition, but I think that is not for the discussion here. But cassava farming is good, and I'll encourage anyone interested in farming to start with cassava farming.
Awesome. So you heard it from the horse's own mouth. It's a common say. Go into cassava farming. Anywhere you plant it, it will do well. It's not like a seasonal crop kind of thing. My name is Enlighten. Coming up is a very short, precise conversation with a MOFA officer to tell us more on what kind of help, support they give to the farmers in this area. So stay tuned. I'll be right back for that interview or that conversation. Thanks for staying with us. Gone by was an interactive, educative interview I had with Mr. Answer. And standing next to me now is an extension officer here in Kaswa. This farm falls under his supervision. So he's here to tell us more of the technical support they give to farmers in this area. Thanks for joining Mr. Ampofo. Now a quick one. Mr. Answer in his answers told me there is some difficulty with accessing planting materials. Now, what is accounting for this?
What accounts for that is now the need for more people, farmers interested in the what do you call it, cassava farming, because now sometimes the market for what do you call it, gari and agbelima is up. So more people want to go into cassava farming. So that makes the planting material sometimes very difficult.
I see.
Yeah.
Now, away from that, what would you say is the interesting thing with regards to these 5 varieties of cassava we have here?
The interesting thing is that the different types of cassava variety we have here has got different qualities.
Okay.
Such as? Some is good for fufu. One may be good for gari, and then some may be good for agbelima,
okay,
and so forth.
So you can't use all of it for fufu?
You can use it,
okay,
but it will not be, all will not be palatable as compared to...
So it means you know which one to use for gari,
that's right,
you know which one to use for
right.
fufu.
As the farmer said,
okay,
something like a ampon, when after 8 months, then it cannot be...
It is more for starch instead of fufu and gari.
That's right.
Excellent.
Right.
Now, assessing these planting materials, how do a farmer who is watching you now and probably is in a different region or area wanting to plant some of these, how do they go about it?
That is, wherever they are, they have to contact the MOFA office.
Okay.
So, because we are multiplying it from the one they brought from the state.
Okay.
So when you contact the MOFA office nearest to you, they will direct you where to get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to farmers who especially have picked up some of these varieties to plant? What advice do you give to them to ensure they are able to see or get the expected yield of cassava as they are expecting? How do I go about the processing, watching over it, clearing of? What kind of steps do you take them through?
What's the main process they have to go is they have to go strictly according to the cultural practices of cassava production.
What are the cultural practices?
The distance, planting distance.
What's the distance?
That's about 1 meter square. Don't allow weeds to grow in it.
Okay.
Then you apply it to the correct soil, as we are seeing here. Then if all this comes into play, then you
get the expected yield.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Cassava, apart from the fruit or the tuber, what else do we use the leaves for?
The leaves, some use it as what do you call it? Contumely in our
cassava leaves.
Yes.
Wow.
Cassava sauce to prepare stew.
Right.
And there are some particular varieties which are even more good than the normal contumely that we use. So the cassava stick leaves is very good for contumely stew and all this. Yes.
Okay. As a MOFA officer, how many farmers are under your watch here?
That one, normally, there will be over 2,500.
To one MOFA officer?
Yes.
Why is it so?
Because of the ratio of the extension officer to the farmers.
What should be the standard practice of extension officers to farmers? What should have been the standard?
The standard practice normally should be about 50. 50, yeah.
50 extension officers
No, 50 farmers to
to
one
one
extension.
Right. So are you able to render your services adequately and effective?
We are doing our best to those who also, are willing to listen to us. You see, some farmers, it's not all of them that.
Do we have farmers who are stubborn?
Very stubborn.
Oh. I
Very
see.
stubborn, yes.
Right.
So those who are willing to listen from us, we are doing our best to push them higher.
I see.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
All
An
right.
example is what the farmer you've just spoken to.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So let's quickly touch on how you get in touch with them and coordinate and tell them do this. Is it through phone or you visit each farm one after the other for the 2,000 or the 200 you are mentioning?
Initially, when there was no phone, when I started working, there was no phone. So we give them one-on-one contact. Then we organize farmers groups. We organize them.
Okay.
So we gather them a day or so. Then we talk to them and then brief them about how to go about their work.
Okay. Well done. I know you've been going through a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
Your final words to a farmer who is being stubborn to the advice of a MOFA officer.
Okay, what I will tell the farmers now, they should see farming as a business, but not as what they were thinking about it
Years ago.
years ago.
Okay.
Now, you can even calculate the number of plants that is on your farm and can even know how much you will get. Yes.
Okay.
So, by so doing, when you know what the benefit of it, you will not be playing any lackadaisical attitude about the
so
yes.
that makes it all for our interview
Yes,
today.
okay.
My name is Enyono, this is Mr. Ampofo, an extension officer here in Kaswa. So as we always do, relax.
Okay.
Papa, wait. When we go to every farm, we bless farmers with a farming tool. And this initiative is proudly supported by Crocodile Market.
Okay.
This man will not allow me to give the cutlass to Mr. Ansre. So I am giving it to you, Mr. Ampofo.
Yeah.
Remember, when you need a farming tool, you go for Crocodile Market. This is made in Ghana,
Okay.
very strong and durable.
Okay.
So thank you so much. So this is how we wrap up our interview on the 5 varieties of cassava that we have among the many. And we are coming to you from Ewutu Senya district. The village is called Anumawobi. However, the farm where we are standing right now is Innovation Village Foundation. And that is where, if you want any of these varieties, you need to come all the way there to see Mr. Thomas Ansre for him to give you maybe some samples for you to go and try on your farm. My name is Anjuna. Thanks for watching.